following program is a real estate and mortgage show and does not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Reality Radio 101, its advertisers and sponsors, or its listening audience. Listener discretion is advised. Good morning and welcome to Your Home, Your Money with your hosts, Randy, Jackie, and Anthony, right here on Reality Radio 101. To get on board, send us an email. Our email address is yourhomeyourmoney101@gmail.com. And now, right to your hosts of Your Home, Your Money, Randy, Jackie, and Anthony.
Hey,
Hey.
morning everyone.
Morning.
We have a special guest this morning, Gian. Gian
Morning.
is our mortgage manager. He handles all the money. Gian?
Thanks for having me back again, guys. Yeah, I was here last week, Jackie, as well.
You weren't listening, Jackie?
And thanks for having me back today. So,
I knew Gene was on last week, just saying.
Yeah,
Maybe you
okay.
should pay more attention.
This is what happens. I'm in between them. And I have two of them at me now. And I think I just said if we both worked full time, we'd have so much fun.
Well, that's part of the fun.
Bugging me.
There's no
Okay,
fun
I
without a
got
ribbon.
it. I got it.
I think what you mean to say is thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you. Oh, you got nothing to say, big man?
For me, I'm looking up the definition of twofer.
Oh my gosh.
I never, this Trudeau thing, I never heard of it until you kind of just mentioned it. Who was he speaking with, or with when he said this?
He was talking about a light skin, a light skin conservative that's running here in Durham.
Wait,
Oh,
wait,
yeah.
Stop. So are you saying he's light skinned because that's what he said is referring to, or?
No, he's
No,
light-skinned.
I don't really know the meaning of the word twofer, and what is twofer slang for? A person who belongs to two minority and underprivileged groups and can satisfy two quotas or appeal to two political constituencies.
Oh, so basically he's playing both sides, I'm trying to say?
That's what it sounds like, hey?
He's a conservative, so he's certainly not playing the conservatives. I mean,
It's from the
liberal
phrase that
side.
says, yeah, two for the price of one, so whatever the heck, I don't get that.
But, poor Justin. Honestly, this guy just gets himself in all kinds of trouble. If you go back and you listen to the video, he's criticizing other, MPs or whatever, peers. He's criticizing them. And then he goes to the conservative in Durham and says, and now he's got a twofer in Durham. So he's obviously saying it in a negative light. It's not like we need to pick on Justin, but this is just, he sealed his fate, I think, with the whole trucker thing. But this kind of stuff is just so inappropriate. Why would he do it? And it doesn't matter what twofer means, because it's not
It's
really.
name-calling, it's childish, first of all.
The thing is, he should be careful. He wore blackface. We all let him go with it, which is fine, because I really don't care about. I think it's whatever. It doesn't mean anything to me. But as a matter of fact, even if you use the N word and you're not black, it doesn't mean anything to me. I think it's ignorant. I think it says more about you than it does about the phrase that you're saying. However, for Justin Trudeau, who's already riding the unpopular wave, to come out and call a minority person a twofer.
That's nothing. I don't even think that's anything. The fact that somebody said last night that he spent $90,000 on his holiday vacation, and he said he stayed with friends, but the vacation cost us $90,000. But he stayed with friends and family.
This is the gentleman.
Like, how
Here.
do
Can
you
you
spend
get
that
that,
kind of
Mike?
money?
So this is the gentleman here that he was making fun of, who is a visible minority, and I don't know,
Okay, that's
really
good.
in bad taste. You got it?
Yeah, all got it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so it's just really, really in bad taste to do that. So so he's
I don't know. Just to kind of play the other side, like, who cares? It's like the whole sticks and stones things. Like,
well, I do care, and I'll tell you, and it's not,
Childish.
and I agree with you that who really cares because sticks and stones. I do agree with that, but the problem that I have is that he is so politically perfect. You know, he criticized one person for saying mankind, and he then said, "We don't use mankind, we say people kind," and like, and that was just absolutely stupid. He should have
really
said
say that?
humankind. Yes.
Yes.
You should have said humankind, but he wanted to be so politically and tell the person, you know what, you can't use like the man gender when you're saying it. Like, okay, well, if you're this perfect, buddy, keep it up, right? But he used people kind then, and then he put in some very strict legislations around the way in which you can speak now with regards to, let's say, Muslims, or with regards to too many. We're afraid of things. We're afraid of saying Merry Christmas. Christians aren't allowed in the public school prayer room. All these really silly things that, to me, are very troublesome. And then he then turns on this gentleman, calling me a twofer, which we don't really know what it means, but when we look it up, he's certainly pointing out that he is a visible
phony.
minority.
But like he's almost saying like you're a phony. You're saying, when you say like 2 for the price of 1, and the way I think he means it is that he's on both sides,
yes, that's what I'm like.
right?
It's
Like,
what's the
Both
context?
sides of what?
But if
like liberal and
No,
conservative.
I don't
like,
think so. This guy's strict conservative.
No, but I've never said, but then what does it mean then?
yeah, that's the
Like,
thing.
it doesn't
to
make
me,
sense.
I can't get outraged if you don't know what the word even means. Like, if you're, I don't know. I think it's a bit.
Yeah, but it's our prime minister who's doing this, and he's the one that's all perfect. He's the one that's telling. That's my problem with it. It's, you know what, and it's not. And the thing is, I almost don't care, but I do care, just because.
You shouldn't care.
Because, well,
Takes up
you know,
too much brain space, he does.
you know when he got my goat, when I became
You had a
one of
goat?
those unacceptable my thoughts, when I didn't like the idea of getting needles in that, and that was unacceptable. Do you remember that?
Sorry, I was.
Okay. And so I just thought that that's wrong. That's wrong. How come you go around making everybody take these needles, and then you basically
Oh, boy,
get
he's on,
no,
COVID.
but Jack, you were separating families. Our kids, like, these needles weren't good for some older people. Okay, some older people died. Her uncle died from it. A client, right after they got the shot, like 2 weeks after, dead, massive heart attack, never had a heart attack before. And these kind of things. I was afraid to get it. But you had to get it, or you weren't allowed to fly. Your kids, my children were like, "Dad, you gotta get it, Daddy," because they're on that boat. So he was separating families, causing a rift within families with the propaganda that he was spewing out. So I personally am upset with what he's doing, and the fact that now I have a reason to even hate him more. And not that I needed
I
one,
was just gonna say.
but he's a light skin, I'm light skin, And this guy,
And he's bald, and you're
and he's bald, and I'm bald.
Oh, okay.
He doesn't own a house, which is a little different there.
Yeah,
because
I found that
he
was
doesn't
odd,
own
but-
a house. He's renting. He can't afford it, and he's really disjointed with the way.
But he did
things
just
are
go
being
through a
run.
medical, he
had
just overcame cancer.
What's the cancer in your blood? What's that one?
Lymphoma? I don't know.
Leukemia.
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 Leukemia. I think that's the cancer he had. He just went on. It took him 5 years to get over it, and he now doesn't have it.
So, I mean, that could be why he doesn't own a home too, because you can't work when you're undergoing those treatments. You don't have a source of income probably or anything, so.
But
I'm
I
sure
think-
there's more behind it than he's just a renter, you know.
And I think, and he got a scholarship to Yale to do law, but before that he wasn't considered very bright. So now I actually would probably vote for this guy.
Before he got a scholarship to Yale, he wasn't considered bright. Why?
Yeah. Well, no, and then there was
Okay,
a similar
you're-
story.
you
No,
came-
there was a similar story with me when I was in.
No, that's not what he asked your story. He says, we didn't understand what you said. How did
Yeah,
he get to
that's why-
Yale, but he wasn't considered bright?
Right, that's what I'm getting to.
But
So
how
that-
do you get that, like,
Because he turned things around.
okay, so he must have turned things around before he got to Yale.
Of course.
Well,
But he
that's
did.
what we're
Yeah, I'm not
saying.
saying he went to Yale. I'm saying he got a scholarship to Yale. But
Okay, so
before
this
that,
is-
he was not considered very
So
bright.
this is the younger version of you, that's what you think?
In some ways,
That's why he's getting in there.
because for me too, I was in and out of many different schools because of foster care and that, and I wasn't doing. I was always. They tried to move me from regular down into the trouble class, where they teach you home ec and everything. But they realized that I actually was too smart to be in there, and they would move me back, but it didn't
Home ec
work.
isn't really the trouble class.
It was back in the day.
get your point.
It was back in the day.
Back in the
believe
day,
me.
it was we had basic, general, and advanced. If I want to put you in the basic classes.
No, there was one below basic. And so, but then what ended up happening? Then I end up finally when I'm settled, I'm on my own, I'm a young adult, and I go back to get my high school, and I end up as an honors student with like 98% as my final mark in calculus.
Was there any
Like,
payoff? Was there any payoff?
Was there any payoff? No. I was the president, the principal's whatever, won some sort of award for
Pet?
principal, whatever. And then I was, I was a big deal in the school. Because I was very smart and I was active within the community, but before that I was very dumb and being passed on. So, it just I guess there is one good thing that came out of this. He shone a light on him.
Yeah, definitely, he put him into public eye
He
even
put
more.
him in the public eye, and because I would have probably not have known of him that much, and but I do not like the fact that he called him a twofer. It just doesn't sound nice. Like, why? Why would you do that? Why don't you just say, hey, this guy's whatever his political views, I don't stand for, or he's mixed, or what are you doing with minority? I thought you were supposed to leave that alone. What does it matter? Anyways, so move on.
Yeah, don't give him any more space in your head.
I wanted to give him space because one of our good clients and friend and listener texted me, so I had to do a little skit on it.
Justina.
He called him Justina. He calls him instead of Justin. He calls him Justina.
Well, we had an email earlier during your rant about, the earlier rant about Trudeau from Edward. Edward says, Jackie and Randy are absolutely right. The $90,000 vacation and Trudeau's big mouth. This guy's incompetent, a loser, and needs to go.
The $90,000 vacation. I'm going to be honest about that one. I think I think the numbers are being fudged a little bit there. Because he says that he stayed. Like, he didn't really answer the question well. He said he stayed with family. How does it cost $90,000 to stay with family? I do want to put an open invitation. For only $50,000, Justin, you can come and stay with us. So you can save the country $40,000. I won't say it'll be a warm welcome, but you can come for the 50,000. Actually, I think I could put on a
So
smile.
when I guess prime ministers, when they go on vacation, is it always
It's
paid for by the taxpayer money? Or?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. But
Okay, and again, just devil's advocate, whatever. What's the normal cost? Is it usually much higher?
Yeah,
Is it
that's
usually much lower?
interesting.
So like,
Didn't
not
you go
saying
to
I agree with
Jamaica or something? Like he didn't go anywhere where the tickets are like exotic,
no,
even
but
if
he has to take special, and he
yeah,
has special
yes,
people
but
around
people
him.
said that that's built in. His
I don't
his
think so.
security's built in.
I don't think so. You
I
can't
just-
spend $90,000 on a trip
I
to
need
Jamaica.
again for me, the number's a number, but like if it's always been 100 grand, now it's 90, okay, then it's we're saving money. Or if it's like so like, not that I agree with her or disagree with it, but like
But what's
if
the
everyone's
base,
been
yeah.
doing it this way, and it's the same more or less price to again pick on him, whatever. It's like maybe we should say pay for your own damn vacations. Whether you
I have an update for you on that.
Oh,
Yeah.
bring it, Gary.
Okay, so the news reported that it's normally when the prime minister travels, and this is the way it is. Of course, it's always expensive because of security in the plane and limos and all that. Okay, that's a normal set thing in the budget of the federal government for travel. Up and beyond any of that, it's supposed to come out of Mr. Trudeau's personal salary, meaning if he goes to, let's just say, Barbados, if the trip costs him with security in the plane and everything, let's say 200 grand, the taxpayers pick that up, which is a norm. But to stay at the actual facility, let's say it's $1,000 a night, the food, the inclusiveness, whatever, the prime minister is supposed to pay for that out of his own pocket. Well, this $90,000 was audited by the federal government, and the place that he stayed was supposed to be a friend's place that the friend said, you just get here, you can stay here, obviously for nothing, and have a good time. Well, what happened was, I'm reading this right now on the news, that this particular person charged Trudeau $90,000, and instead of Trudeau figuring out how he's going to pay for it out of his own money, he charged the taxpayers. That's what the big thing is. Not so much the trip that he took, because just like in the States, they do need protection. They do have, as you know, Secret Service type of security. That's all covered, and it's been like that for years and years and years. But this $90,000, he decided, well, I'm not going to pay for it. All of a sudden, they're charging me. He put it on the taxpayers, and that's what is illegal. That's what I'm reading.
Okay.
Okay, so that's in that case, then I fully agree. Then that's so basically, we're paying for 90 grand. His friend's making 90 grand extra, and Trudeau's paying nothing. So then he's.
He just doesn't strike me as this kind of, well, look at this kind of guy. I fought, that was it We movement, or that he did, that big
Me to
sponsorship.
We.
Where, that money, I didn't believe any of that. And then, I just didn't believe he was corrupt. He just looks too innocent, and I would not see that, but he keeps doing all these weird little things.
If it was that easy, we can just have like a picture and say, "Oh no, he's too sweet
Yeah,
looking."
he looks too innocent
Yeah, I know,
to me.
hey?
It's usually the ones who look too innocent. You're like, well, I would have never. It's always I would have never expected it
I
from
never
him or from
expected
her.
it. But hardened criminal. But he's only got another year or so to go, and he's gonna get the boot.
Oh, he'll do more damage in that
see.
time.
You think so? So, Guillaume, what's up? What's going on with rates and that?
Okay, so let's look at the market. I'm sure you guys have heard Bank of Canada announced the rates this week. Rates are staying the same. So, what does that mean for a lot of homeowners? If you're holding a variable rate mortgage, you've got a home equity line of credit or unsecured line of credit, nothing's changing. You're still paying the high rate. And as of right now, I think they're trying to predict that the Bank of Canada is going to cut the rates around mid-year. So I wanted to ask you guys, how does that look within the real estate market?
Oh, the truth of the matter is, well, we don't know if they're going to cut the rates. everybody's speculating around that. Everybody's speculation has been wrong for the last how many years. So we are not holding our breaths on any of this. But I will say that there is a lot of pent-up demand here in Canada.
Yeah, but don't you think that if
So-
it's pent-up demand and now they're saying they're going to hold the rates later, that's gonna cause some people to say, well, I'm gonna wait.
Well, no, he didn't say hold the rates, he said drop the rates.
Oh,
Here's the
drop,
thing,
sorry,
right?
yeah, drop
So
the rates,
I asked Randy for actually some real estate stats from last year just to kind of compare where we're at. So last year, when they did the exact same thing, they held the rates at around the same time. From January, February, March, the real estate market started increasing because there's no increase in the rates. The only time it started to drop was starting in June. That's when they announced that the rates were going to increase again by 0.25%.
I would say with that
So-
though, with that, because it's just like with the market generally, the market generally goes up in that time, so.
And then
it-
slows down in
And slows
June.
down, so it could be a correlation, or could just be.
It could be market cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's-
in that particular case, yeah.
Right, okay. Now, on the fixed rates, in the last couple of weeks, we have seen the rates starting to come down due to the bond yields, but I'm just looking at the bond yields lately, and it's starting to creep up, right back up again. Now we're at like about 4%. So normally, there's a difference between 1% and 2% within the bond yield and 5-year fixed rates with the banks. As we can see from January here, beginning of January, it dipped down to about 3.1%. Last week, a lot of banks announced that they're offering a 5-year fixed rate at less than 5%. Because the bond yield is starting to climb up, I wouldn't be surprised if these rates start to climb back up again within the next few weeks or so.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
that's something to keep in mind again. As I mentioned last week, if you guys are looking into getting into the market this spring, it's probably a good idea to get a rate hold from your bank and just try to secure the lowest rate that you guys can.
So earlier you said if with the banks, or sorry, if the rates do drop, say like mid-year, would mortgage rates drop like right away, or what's the usual, I guess, turnaround time for that?
Are you talking about like the fixed rates or the Bank of Canada
Like,
rates?
it's Bank of Canada rate, so the Bank of Canada, let's say they drop it a 0.5%.
Yeah, the banks will usually announce it within the next day or so that they're gonna start dropping their rates, so.
So yeah, so I guess if that does happen, I think there probably are people who are kind of on the sideline, kind of just hoping and waiting for that to happen before they maybe dip their toes back in. So if the rates did drop, like I would personally probably think there'd be maybe like a little bit of a surge at that moment, but and it depends too, because even with the rates coming down, because the prices are so high, you might get a bit of an increase, but it's still can you afford it? Can you qualify? And all these different things that come into play when you're trying to get a mortgage or qualify.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you mentioned that, because I've got a client right now, we're actually trying to refinance their mortgage, and I think I asked Randy about the approximate value using Treb. I'm also using this new thing called RPS Access that gives us just an average value of the home. And it gives an average value of about $860. When we got the appraisal, it came back at $740,000.
So almost 100 under,
Which means the banks are
or
going.
100
It's a
under.
big difference. So right
Wow.
now, client has a choice. We have to try to convince the lender to renew the mortgage. They're probably gonna have to stay with them. Or they're gonna probably be forced to sell their home.
So if they already own they already have the house, own the house.
Right.
They're with a normal mortgage, or
They've got a normal mortgage, but they do have a second mortgage
okay. So
with
will
a
the
private lender.
So will the bank? Okay. So even though if they do renew, they still would need more money because of the private mortgage.
The private lender wants out. Obviously, especially right now, they're gonna be underwater if
Yeah.
things stay the same. So it's really gonna be up to the private lender and whether he wants to keep the mortgage.
Okay. And I was listening to you guys. I guess last week we were talking about because the private lender would probably want to get out. He doesn't want to take the chance of it getting worse, right? So,
Exactly.
okay.
Exactly. So, but I mean, you know, with these type of appraisals, I mean, at the end of the day, it's someone's opinion. we can try and go back to the appraiser and say, well, we've seen other homes sold recently for this amount. Can you make some sort of adjustment somehow, right?
But that's tough.
It's very tough.
That's very tough to get them to change what they put in writing.
Did
So
they
it's
buy?
not
Did they
easy.
buy during the peak of?
They bought in 2021, I believe.
Okay, so right.
They bought it for $650.
Oh, so, okay, but
Right.
they refinanced because
2022, it was at 900.
Wow.
Or I think they bought it 2020, and then 2022 it was at 900. Then last year it was around 850, and now it's at around 740.
it's crazy.
So, realtors have a very different view of appraisers than a lot of people do. The way in which we view them is not very highly. We have had appraisals, a 1,700 square foot townhouse was appraised at the same price as a 1,300 square foot townhouse, with the philosophy that they both had the same usable space. And we said, what do you mean by that? And he goes, well, they both have 3 bedrooms, they both have a kitchen and bathroom in it. And I'm like, yeah, and I'm like, okay, but this one also has a family room. And he said to me, and I swear, this is why it's a good thing that guns aren't legal here in Canada. He said to me that the family room that's there, the guy has a desk in it, so it's not considered a family room. And I said,
Because he has a desk?
because he has a desk in it, because it was an open
So
concept.
wait. If you put a bed, there would be another
If he put a
bedroom?
bed
It'd be
there,
4
this is
bedrooms, I
it, or
guess.
put his car there, it becomes a garage. I was blown away, and for those of you that aren't sure, the difference between a 1,300 and 1,700 square foot
Is the
townhouse
extra room.
is massive.
Wait.
Like, it's a completely different feel altogether.
Yes, within the same area. Okay.
They're of course they're in
Okay.
the
But
same
you
area.
can't
but-
compare a smaller home.
to,
Like, you
well,
just
well,
can't.
you can, but you gotta give the bigger home more value.
Yeah.
Like, and I said to him at that time, we were in a 3,300 square foot home, and I go, so my 3,300 square foot home is this same value as the 2,400 square foot? He goes, well, if you're using it the same, then it has the same utility. And then he went on to tell me how amazing he is, because he has compared houses to condos. And I thought, no, you're a jackass. Like, that's what you just proved to me. There was nothing to be done there. So we don't, and this is a guy, when he comes out with this ignorance, what he's just done was blow up a deal, because the buyer can't get the financing in a situation like that. So what's really, I believe, and it was something I told Ian last week, you need to put $1,500 aside for this process, because if you do run into a person like that that's on a whole different kick, and he gives you a very low appraisal, it is 100% proven, as Guian said, that it's quite subjective. It's not as objective as you would think it is. And therefore, you have to be prepared to try someone else, which is gonna cost you money. Now, Guian will try to do what he can to speak to the person and see if you can work out the problem without spending more money, but often these guys are on their high horse.
It's true. It's true.
And there's another thing to consider when it comes to appraisals as well. And I should be careful, because we'll probably have one on the show, and I'll be quite nice to him. But the appraisers don't work for you. They don't work for us. They work for the bank. So then what you find, and this is where, this is the opposite side of the appraisal game, is that when prices were going up like crazy, the appraisers were appraising the home at the value that was on the piece of paper, which in many cases was not the value of the property. The property wasn't valued for that much. I seen small houses with a basement apartment go for more than the bigger house beside it, which makes no sense. But because the agreement of purchase and sale price was written that way, they were following that. Why would they do that? Why would they change so drastically the way in which they are
The
thinking?
bank is their puppet?
Because the bank is mandating either conservative or lavish or hawkish appraisals, and the bank is sort of saying, hey, listen, we want as much business as we can get, which is what they wanted at that time when prices were going up, and why. The question is why. And it's because they had so much money in settlement balances that the Bank of Canada gave to them through the quantitative easing process. So they had to utilize this money for profit. And so there was that, and there was the fact that it was moving up. It was a little less risky, what they were feeling, and they were just pumping out mortgages. But now that we're in a more conservative market, they've told them, hey, you guys got to be more dovish, you got to be more conservative with your numbers, and that's where you're seeing a downward pressure. Even though property would be worth 800, the appraiser's coming in at 750 to make sure he pleases the bank. And so the truth of the matter is that different appraisers, some are really skittish and really, dovish on that. Other ones are a little bit more realistic. If you're in that process and you run into a person who is kind of that psychotic, you may have to buy another one and maybe two more. Go ahead.
But here's the thing, but you said the appraisers work for the bank or the banks take.
Yes.
If you get your own, are they gonna even take that versus, let's say.
Your own won't mean anything.
That's what I'm saying, so what's
You
the point
can't
of?
get your own.
No, he means
Like
if you
I-
pick an appraiser.
No.
What makes you think the bank's
No,
gonna take
th-
that
they're-
appraisal?
No, they give you a list of appraisers that you can choose from. So you'll just have to pick two more from the list.
Yeah, so you can only work with certain approved appraisers
Oh, okay.
from certain lenders.
Oh, okay.
So you can't just go on Google and say, okay, I want to work with that appraiser.
guy.
But if
Or
you're
I
all
want to
working
work
for the
with my
bank-
friend and he's an appraiser.
If you're all working for the same bank, are you really getting that much of a
Subjectiveness.
difference?
Well, this is it. So there's a show on Market Watch that exposed that. And so there's a couple of things I'd like to say about, the discovery from that show. Is that, yes, the three appraisals gave three completely different prices. But there was something else that was discovered during that time. When we're asking clients to sell homes and things of that nature, we ask them to depersonalize it. And so that, it's all about the home and not about you or your culture or any of that. Some people are good at that, some people don't believe in it, but it's true. And when it came to appraisals, it was proven even more true that, some appraisers will devalue the home based on the culture that's in the home. So, and they found that out by just removing personal pictures, and it totally changed the price. So, so be careful when you're doing these things to try to optimize things to your best. Depersonalize, remove your personal pictures so that there's no sign of culture.
But I think also with that, like, I know a lot of people are like, okay, I'm going right to the bank. Like, it's this notion that just go to the bank and get your mortgage. Like, that's why it's good to talk to someone like Ian, who knows the different banks, knows the appraisers that they use, knows some of the ins and outs of which way to go and not go. Because just going straight to your bank is not always necessarily the best thing. But I know that that's the way we've been taught from generation to generation, right? But I mean, it's good to hire a mortgage broker because they know the ins and outs, and sometimes they know the appraisers that aren't, that great, or they've had a problem with before with low appraisals. Like, it's just Yeah.
So-
Appraisals are inconsistent as well, so
Yeah.
it's hard to tell, like, this guy who was no good this time, next time he actually ends up being good. It's a really
Yeah.
weird game.
Yeah.
You gotta play, from my experience, being in this game for as long as I have, if you put aside $1,500, you have 3 appraisals, you'll get a much better picture. And if you're working with the mortgage broker, he is able to give the appraisal that best suits your situation to the company for the financing, as opposed to trying to work with some guy who's on a binge that day. He woke up, his wife left him, and now he's
Oh,
out to
jeez.
get you.
Okay. Well, I
So-
think we got emails.
Yeah, we have a few, yeah. Start from the newest one. So from Bob. Bob says, "Hey to all, home appraisers are like auto mechanics. Watch out." Here you go. And asking about any contests. I'm sure Randy will talk about that in a bit.
We'll talk about that soon.
Okay. Carl says, "Hello, folks. Loving the show today from Ottawa, Ontario. Good info. Love it. Very entertaining. Thanks."
Thank you, Carl.
Earlier from Greg. Greg says, "Hello, Real Estate Show. Excellent show today. Love the Trudeau rant. Unfortunately, your guest is still not giving us any great news. It's scary." Sorry. He just tells it how it is, unfortunately.
He's the
I
bearer
guess.
of bad news.
From Winnie, in regards to the trip, amen to your producer. I just read that as well. This guy Trudeau's a slime ball. If he paid for that trip himself, not the travel expenditures, but the accommodations, nothing would have come by it. He is a slime ball, just for good measure again. From Tom, it's in regards to insurance. Go online to NBC News. They reported that folks who want life insurance are now ineligible if they've had 4 COVID vaccine shots. It is
Get
nuts.
out of here, really?
I have no idea. They state that cardiac and other issues are a risk factor to qualify for life insurance. So, again, that one I would have to more research. I'm not too sure about that
Can
one.
someone do a fact check on that?
Alright, so
Which bank, which company?
he didn't say which company. He just said he saw it on
NBC.
NBC News. That's where he saw it.
Insurance.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
If true, yes. Especially since they made us get it too.
Yeah, that's just crazy. I will say I was very embarrassed by my point of view throughout this COVID thing, because it was not a popular point of view. And I honestly, I don't understand. What?
People are saying that here, like, that is not true.
Okay.
Getting vaccinated for COVID does not negatively affect your,
Insurance?
yeah.
Okay. So,
But, I mean, who knows? You never know.
I was a big against all this stuff because it was just so ridiculous, and I can't understand how the public couldn't see it. How do you close off parts of the dollar store where people aren't allowed to buy that stuff from that store because COVID?
No, Randy, you have to be fair.
That's stupid.
You have to be fair, Randy. You can't say they can be open and then the mom and pop store is closed.
That too. That was stupid too. They did that. But I mean, you're in the store already, but you can't go in that aisle. You can't buy anything in that aisle, because if you go in that aisle, people are gonna die.
You know the crazy
like, this
thing
is
is too,
stupid.
The whole thing was being too close together, and they make the store smaller because you're going to go down 2
Yeah,
aisles.
and they force everybody. This is what you want to talk about stupid. COVID was the virus was actually airborne, and that's not something they hid. You go on the CDC website, they talk about it. It's not a problem. This is not. But here they are lining everybody up in the same space, 6 feet apart. So you're fine from when you're 6 feet behind supposed to be. But what about when you move up into the next space where the COVID is there floating from the person who had COVID? They're making you line in the next spot where that person was.
I remember I went to Costco during that time. The line was going around the store. It was
I know.
So if you have COVID, it's guaranteed. You spread it, and then you go to the bath. This is the one that any mathematician, and as I just exposed, I was like 98 in calculus. I was a brain at one point in my life, and I was dumb as hell at another point in my life. And I don't know where I am now. I'm not sure if I've gone from one point to the other, but this was just so obvious. You have a bathroom, it has 12 urinals, and you tape off 6 of them, every second one, because you want to save lives. How the heck does that save lives? When I go to the bathroom, I have a 1 in 12 chance of being near one where the COVID virus might be roaming around. But not now. Now I got a 1 in 6 chance of going there. So it just defies logic.
Okay, first of all, ban urinals. They're disgusting.
We need them. We need
No,
them.
they're
The
nasty.
gunslingers need them. You wouldn't understand, sweetheart.
Oh, I do, because I know. When we were fostering, we had a lot of boys, and trust me, I know.
You had a
The
urinal?
toilet got missed a lot.
Yeah,
But urinals
No,
are nasty.
not the urinal. The
They
toilet.
smell.
The
they're-
boys peeing everywhere.
Yeah.
The toilet's worse because the toilet's farther. The urinal's right there.
Yeah, but it's just
But who's
disgusting to look
cleaning it?
at. Like it's just when I was young, I worked in a bar, and the bar, like, we did it all. Okay, like we were the cleanup, we were everything, and that was the most disgusting part because you go in there and they were just and then sometimes people would throw tissue in, so it's sitting and you go, just gross.
Well, we wanted the urinal here, and she said absolutely not. So,
Yeah, Orrin fought for that, but he lost.
well, I would have
I
fought
did-
on his
yeah.
side, but I had already lost because I wanted to do one. Remember once at the home, and holy smokes, I
You
still
want to
get in
do a
trouble.
lot of stuff that's
I
strange.
still get in
though.
trouble for that thought.
Sounds like some PTSD there, Jackie.
Yeah, yeah, oh yes, definitely. I can like smell it now, actually. But on another note, somebody's at it again. Someone in Brampton just listed a bed for rent in a kitchen. And it looks like it's,
kitchen?
yeah. So it looks like it's in the basement and the kitchen is like here and the bed is right here. But the good news is it's only $350 a month. So you can sleep in the kitchen.
That's
I'm
good.
sure that it's all shared. So you get up when everybody else gets up. You can't sleep in your underwear because you're sleeping in the middle of the place where other people are. I mean, it's just like the fact that these things are actually getting rented is what's more horrifying, that people are so desperate.
$350, you said?
Yeah.
That's a good price.
That's what I'm saying. People are so desperate that something like that is going to rent, and it's sad that you can't even pay for privacy anymore because it's too expensive. Your own privacy
Well,
is
they
too
could be
expensive.
for everything. They just have to pay more.
You know what? I would actually prefer that spot than the bedroom.
Oh my gosh!
I
here
would,
we
because
go.
I mean, I'm hungry. I don't even have to get out of bed. I just open the door, grab some grapes, close the fridge door. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty close to the fridge. There's
That's,
just one little like table or something
That
in
sounds-
between the bed and the actual fridge. So, I mean, it's it's still pretty pathetic out there with rent. But the rent has come down a bit. I'm
Yeah,
finding
rental prices are
because,
coming down.
Like some places are just not renting, and I'm seeing a lot of notifications with price change on the rent coming down $200-300 a month because they're just not getting rented at those prices. People can't afford it.
Yeah, it's tough out there.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of like the homeowners too, or the landlords are trying to capitalize on the increase in everything. So I guess they're trying to get whatever they can get, and if they can't get it,
Yeah.
bring down the price. Just like everything
Exactly.
else.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Do you have something you want to do there, Anthony? Before I go into the what's happening?
I just had I was going to talk about it last week. Just about our economy, basically between us and the U.S. and how the article basically said that the U.S. economy is growing 10 times faster than Canada over the last, I'm not sure how many years it was, but pretty much talking about, I guess for us, a lot of our reliance is on immigration, and because of that, it's a lot of most of our increase in GDP has been because of housing costs and all that stuff, and we're falling behind other things like manufacturing and all those other things. So because we're so reliant on just immigration, we're falling behind other areas. So just something to kind of think about. And with all immigration too is kind of causing the issue with like the housing. There's no houses, right? So we have people coming in, we're not doing anything else other than that, and then we're losing, not losing, but our housing is going up like crazy, while we're falling behind in other areas of the economy.
Yeah, well, I mean, I read about that too, and what they were saying too is a lot of the expenses are also from vehicles that were delayed back from like the last couple of years that are now all coming out. And like what you said as well, from the mass immigration, all those people obviously need to buy, you know, look for places to live and buy a lot of things just to kind of start over, right?
Yeah.
Now, I believe they're starting to slow that down.
Yes, they're doing it slowing it down for student visas right now.
Yeah, something like 2 year.
But,
But that was, that I believe stemmed from the housing issue. They couldn't house all the students.
no, they're living under bridges, some of them. It's kind of
So-
ridiculous. But the thing is that it may be becoming clearer and clearer, the picture moving forward. You know, the way in which the interest rates have made housing costs extremely expensive, there is another look that we could do. Just a few short months ago, 60 days or so ago, you were looking at a 6-7% interest rate, roughly speaking, right? And now you can get a 4.99. So what that really means is, you know, if you were looking at a 6% interest rate on $1 million home, because that's the average price is 1.3 or something, so you put 300,000 down, left with $1 million mortgage, something like that. Let's just pretend. You're looking at a savings right now, purchasing over 60 days ago, a savings of somewhere in the $500 to $600 range. If it was a 6% interest rate you were going to get, but if you were going to get a 7% interest rate and you were in that period of time, you're looking at almost a $1,200, $1,300 savings per month in with the way the rates are right now, and the fact that there may be a little bit of an upward pressure on rates right now, that this particular 4.99 rate may not stick. This may be the best time that you have in this short immediate time to do a rate hold, you know, and look for to make that purchase if it's affordable for you. So that's something to sort of keep in mind. Any thoughts?
I'm glad that you brought that up because I mean, at the end of the day, it's really going to be based on your affordability. I mean, a lot of people tend to focus on the rate itself, but what they're not recognizing is if you were to buy the same house again from just a couple of years ago, you're paying at least $200,000 more, right? On top of that, you're probably going to be in a bidding war as well, where you might be overpaying for a house. Like, I'm not sure exactly how real estate market is right now. Like, are you guys able to get into a house and just make an offer without doing any
Some.
bidding wars?
In
Some
some
of them.
homes, some
Some of
homes
them.
are pretty competitive right
Some
now.
are still getting, you know, like,
And I'm sure it's just
lot
about to
off.
get worse with the spring market
It,
based
yeah,
on,
that's what we're leading up to right now,
Yeah.
so we'll see.
right. So, I mean, at the end of the day, look at your, the affordability, that's gonna be the most important thing. You know, the rates are gonna be the rates, there's not much we can do about that, but what we can do is we can look at your finances and see what options are available for you. Like what Jackie mentioned earlier, we're not the banks, we work with different lenders that work with different types of underwriting. Some lenders will work with business owners that are showing low income in their notice of assessment. They look at your bank statements. You know, so a lot of those things will provide great options for you guys, so.
and for us, you know, with our team, which Guian is part of our team, he handles all of our mortgages. We're all about client care, so, you know, if you reach out to Guian, you're gonna get the same services you would from us. He's gonna be more worried about you than him getting a mortgage through for you. Because I remember, I think it was Guian once a while, long time ago, you had said to me something in regards, like, just because you're approved for that amount doesn't mean that you can afford that amount. So you know, so, and that's where the whole looking at your finances come in, right?
A
And
lot
not
of things
stretching
happen,
yourself,
right? Like, so again, like, let's say a family bought a house back in 2020 at a low interest rate of 2%. Maybe right now they've got 2 more kids, right? Now they're paying for daycare. That's an extra $1,000, $1,500 a month, maybe $2,000 in daycare extra. If their mortgage is coming up for renewal at, 5.5% when they were at like 2%, that's bringing up their monthly payment. If they've got a $500,000 mortgage, that's going to bring up their payment to almost $800 monthly. So if you were on a budget for a $2,000 mortgage before with no kids,
Yeah,
and now you've got 2 kids, you've got activities for them, daycare, and now you've got an extra $800 payment in mortgage, that could,
That's a big deal.
that's why I don't really like suggest people ever just go straight to the bank, because they're just doing a mortgage. They're not assessing your life, where like someone like Guy, and they're assessing everything and making sure that when you make that decision that you've weighed out all of these future things too.
Yeah.
So
And not necessarily straight to the bank, but not straight to your max, right? Just because you can afford,
Yeah.
as you can afford $1,000 a month right now, doesn't mean you have to go for that house that costs that much.
Exactly.
It's you have to have a bigger vision,
Yeah.
a bigger, longer term vision to see
Yeah.
what might happen
yeah,
down the
because
road.
look what's
Yeah.
happening now.
Because, I mean, there's other things that Guian may have left out that could happen, such as your wife, really wants to get her nails done and her hair done and all that stuff every couple of
I
months,
mean,
which
you could
is
get sick, you
big
could get
money.
unemployed,
That too.
many things can happen during that time.
Too.
but-
She could want designer glasses now instead of the regular glasses, because, you stepped up your game and got a new house. She,
Well,
may want a
listen,
nicer
if you're
car.
going to take on a woman, you better make sure that you're ready for those costs, or don't take her on.
You have to be ready for these changes, trust me, they do
She's
come.
a vehicle that's going to take you into the future, and she's either going to make you happy or make you sad.
And that'll be depending on how much you spend on her, so be careful.
Bingo. Yeah.
Well, you guys wanna do something before
Yeah, well, you don't even have much time. You only have 10 minutes, so.
Yeah, but if, I don't wanna take the air,
Well, I just wanted to briefly take a couple minutes and talk about one new thing that we're going to be doing starting this year with our listings, and it's very, very exciting. I'm excited about it. With our video tours on the homes, where you go in and you see, they go through the house and you got this AI that's explaining to you each room as they go through. Well, we're going to be changing it up a little bit, and we're going to be, instead of just doing the tour like that, we're going to be doing lifestyle tours. So we're going to aim to have every tour relate to that house, with possibly, if you're selling a house that has a gourmet kitchen, then we may have a chef in there preparing a meal and people sitting, waiting to have dinner. And this is going to be your video showing the essence of your home with this gourmet kitchen and people just sitting around and, entertaining. So we're going to hype it up a little bit, and we're going to be doing that this year with our videos, which I think are going to be very exciting. So they're going to be more like little movie skits rather than just the tours with the AI that you see out there everywhere. So if you guys are interested, the only reason why I'm putting it out there now, I'm sure a lot of people who are thinking about selling are starting to prepare what they need to do and all that. Check us out, hit us up, and learn a little more about these new videos that's really going to highlight your home over everybody else.
Sorry, Jackie, just a question for you. So
Yeah.
these videos, are they generated by AI? So let's say we've got this empty
No,
room
it's
here.
actual people.
Oh, it's actual people?
There's going to
Okay.
be actual people that will be, like if say you have it's summer and you have a beautiful outdoor pool in that area, then we may have pool with families and kids in the pool, and
A
really
party.
showing the essence of that home, the excitement, and really getting people like, wow,
So you're recording live videos for
Yes,
these,
we're
for
gonna
these
be-
possible buyers
yes, we're hyping
to
it up
envision
and
themselves in
exactly,
space.
and say, oh my goodness, I gotta go see this house. I
There-
want to be in this house. Look at this house. Look at the excitement. Look
They're
at the
commercials. It's
Yeah.
a commercial for
Yeah,
the home.
basically.
It's a commercial showing type.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lifestyle commercial for the
Yeah.
home as opposed to just a video tour.
Yeah.
What happened is in the United States, this is a process that was brought to the high-end residential marketplace. And so multi-million-dollar homes, not even a $2 million or a $3 million home. These are 10, 20, 50, $100 million homes were spending this money to create these commercials for the homes. And what they were finding was that it was the best money they ever spent.
People
It
were-
was-
they were selling.
They were getting better viewership on the homes. They were getting the homes sold over the traditional ways of marketing the home. And so, so they found that this was the way to go. Unfortunately, it's a very expensive process. So what we've done, we've sort of, tapered it down a bit because we won't have helicopters and things of that nature in them. 'Cause
unless
they
you have a helicopter pad.
and they have those kind of things in some of them. But what we do is we taper it down just a little bit, and we use some actors that we would know, and some of it ourselves, and things of that nature
And
to
possibly,
bring down costs.
possibly
But-
even the homeowner if they want.
and possibly the homeowners, the kids, and we would then, so we're saving money on actors, and then we would, we bring in, we're teaming up with Cool House, which is a photography company, and they're going to do productions on each one of the homes. So traditionally, we would order the photography, and the photography would go out. Now, it's a lot more than that. We have a storyboard that needs to be created before we film the home. We have to have the storyboard and what it is, the messages and the parts that we are really kind of featuring for the theme of that particular home, and then it can go out and be shot, and then it can be produced, and then we have to have the scripting to go with that, and then we've got the awesome video. So I do think
I'm
it's going to be very
excited.
excited,
Yeah.
because one of the things for us that's exciting is that we're bringing this to the normal home, to the normal homeowner. So we're going to be the first realtors in Canada that we know of. We haven't found anyone who is doing that.
No.
That stuff is mainly in the States, and it's mainly in multi-million-dollar
Yes,
properties.
yeah.
So it is kind of
That's
exciting.
true, yeah, because multi-million-dollar, obviously, they yield more money as well.
And you can
But,
afford.
and then, if you think, well, I just have this little house, I don't really have the, well, it's not about, then we go in and we see which part of your house is the highlight, and that's what we highlight. So it's more very personal, and yeah, it's definitely getting more eyes on
It
and
gets
more
more
views
eyes.
and more people coming out.
I love how much effort you guys are putting into this. I mean, considering I've seen like some clients' homes that decided to sell their house, hired a realtor, went in the house with cell phones, took dark photos, posted it, and my clients are, calling me and saying, Ian, it's been 3 weeks. We haven't received one offer. What's going on? Right? And then I look at the listing, like you can't even like envision yourself in that house. You got dark photos. It's terrible.
If
No
that's the one
efforts,
you're
yeah.
talking about, the first thing I asked is, did they get a discount realtor?
It was.
And yes, it was. So, and what was my comment after that? Well, then
You're getting a discount.
they got what the realtor cannot afford to do great marketing
Yeah.
if they discount. That's the thing that the public doesn't quite get. When there's a 5% commissions, which commissions are negotiable, but it's 5%, we charge 2.5%. If that's reduced, our 2.5% is reduced to 1.5%, that's 30% of our income gone, almost.
Yeah.
Well, no, around 30% of our income gone. And so what part of our income is that? Well, that is our profit center. So that means if we were to try to market your home, we would get nothing at the end of that day if we sold it. So the thing is, then what do we have to do? We have to be smart. We have to say, oh, hold on a second. Let me not do any marketing. Let me not spend any money, because that's just going to eat into my profits, which then means that the homeowner gets a lot less exposure, and yeah, their home will eventually sell at a lower price. And
Funny thing is, it still hasn't sold. Well, as of 2 weeks ago, they listed it back in July, I believe.
And they did a long listing
They
too.
they
didn't
relisted
have a
it many
choice.
times,
Yeah.
right? Just
Yeah.
to save that, what, 1.5%?
Yeah.
But
Well,
if
they
they had sold
think
it back
they're
in July
saving it.
last year, they probably would have made a lot more money, because
Yeah.
I think right now they had it listed at over $1 million, and then the last listing was for like $799.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. Wow.
It's actually
Yeah.
40%.
And this is something that's even probably more important than anything we've said before, and I'm not trying to big ourselves up, but when you are dealing with realtors who actually, as a career, they are looking to get the best for their clients, that percentage that you're looking to save is nothing, because we typically get 2, 3, 4% more when it comes to negotiating your price than the average realtor. And the average realtor is a person who's charging full price as well. And so when you go and you say, okay, well, let me save the 1%, you're not in the average realtor anymore, right? This person can't negotiate their own commissions. So the only way for them to get business is the discount, which means that that's where they're at, so they're not at that level. And now you're dealing with below average realtors, and you're expecting to actually save money, but really you're losing money because you've hired people who have to discount.
Well, not only that, I want to say one thing, sorry, because I quickly looked this up. There's almost 800,000 Canadians that have over $1 million net worth. There's almost 100,000 that have over 5 million net worth. So there are many people out there that are looking for these big, beautiful homes, and I see them, and just like Guy said, like some that are $6, $7, $8 million, and they're gorgeous homes on acreages, and they're not selling because some of them are not even staged. So think about it. You got all these people, and that's just Canadians, right? Even if you got other people from around the world wanting to buy a vacation home here or whatever, there's no eyes on that.
There's no eyes.
So this puts it out there into the hugely in the world. So I am so excited, and I can't wait for someone to jump out and be the first person to have their first home with that video.
Close this out.
All right, ladies and gents, thanks for joining along with us again. If you have any emails during the week, send them to yourhomeyourmoney101@gmail.com. And as always, it's been your home, your money, and our lives on reality101.com. Have a great weekend.
Bye for
Bye
now.
for
Have a good
now.
one. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Your Home, Your Money with your hosts, Randy, Jackie, and Anthony, right here on Reality Radio 101.